this was a difficult deal. You've spoken about how difficult it was. So what were the main difficulties? What were the things that made you a little iffy?
This is a transaction that has failed too many times. And therefore, it was a very big responsibility that we had to ensure that this transaction successfully went through this time. And the credit for that fairly and squarely goes to the Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, for his conviction, his commitment, and his steadfastness of purpose that we no longer can service such a large loss-making enterprise and frit away the nation's precious resources just to ensure that we have an airline that the government is flying. And just some numbers out for you. In the last 14 years after the ill-fated merger between Indian Airlines and Air India, we have incurred losses of 83,000 crores over the last 14 years. Combine that with the fact, Saurabh, of an equity infusion of 55,000 crores over the last 14 years, plus additional government guarantees of another 50,000 crores. So you're talking about 109,000 crores in terms of government guarantees and equity, 83,000 crores in terms of losses. And today our debt, or rather yesterday, because all the debt has been cleared, but yesterday our debt of close to another 61,000 crores. And I'd like to also, in the end, through you, congratulate the new proud owners of Air India, the Tata Group. It's gone back into old hands that nurtured it, old hands that grew it, old hands that enabled it to become the giant that it once was.
During this transaction, did you ever come across a time when you felt कि boss अब तो नहीं होगा, इस चीज पे अटक जाएगा?
Well, I don't want to say that you felt कि ये नहीं होगा, इस चीज पे अटक जाएगा. But yes, there were many a time when there were impediments, so-called impediments along the way, when we felt that things are getting a little difficult. But then, as I said to you in the very beginning, Saurabh, the very fact that we kept an open mind, the very fact that we made the process very consultative and facilitative, ensured that we were able to finally close this transaction.
So can you name 2 or 3 big impediments जो लगा boss अभी अटक नहीं जाए, ये हो गया, 1 or 2 which stick to your memory, come to your mind?
Well, I think you have to understand the company itself from for example, from an accounting perspective is a very, very complex company. And therefore, to be able to consolidate all the books of accounts, to be able to close the accounts, to come up with the final figures for the auditors in a finite time frame. Because if you remember when we spoke last, I had told you that somewhere around the 2nd or 3rd week of January, we should be able to have good news for you.
You stuck to your timeline, sir. You stuck to your timeline.
I apologize. I overstepped by exactly 4 days, but I think you'll allow me that leeway. And we closed on the 27th of January.
Sir, coming back to Air India, have the Tatas indicated what their model is going to be? One big airline, or is it going to be one LCC, one full service? Have they indicated?
Well, once we have now handed over the airline to the Tatas, it is now their prerogative. But I have full confidence that with their strategic planning capability, with their finance muscle, with their human resource capability, and their marketing capability, they will certainly ensure that Air India regains its commanding positions in both domestic and international skies.
Omicron numbers are going down, restrictions are going away. What's the trajectory that you see for resumption of scheduled international flights, which you had?
As you are well aware that I am extremely keen to ensure that we go back to 100% capacity, but we will have to moderate that along with the Ministry of Health. We certainly hope that in the days to come, Omicron recedes. Civil aviation, both on the domestic front and on the international front, should revert back to the mean and revert back to the normal. And I'm certainly working as a constructive collaborator to try and make sure that happens.